I remember I had a topic wherein my group was supposed to enact a skit on Russian-Ukraine crisis. So during that time, it was one of the most prominent things that were going on, right? Another group was supposed to make a uh, WhatsApp message around how they can educate elderlies for technology advancement. The second year, we don't have that privilege and the luxury of a weekend.
Welcome to Gatsby's Gyan. You're watching the MBA series, which is an endeavor to cover prominent B schools across the country and help give aspirants a real picture of the college they seek admission. Stay tuned for more updates by subscribing to the channel. Hi Saarthak, a very warm welcome to the podcast. How are you doing?
I'm absolutely fantastic. Having a few bits of nostalgic moments in the campus as we are about to end our 2 year MBA. Yeah, everything apart from that is pretty good.
Fantastic is a word that not a lot of people will use currently where the market is headed. That's very nice of you that you're getting to have a fantastic time. So currently you're at the campus. The campus is situated in Ahmedabad.
Absolutely.
So where in Ahmedabad, like we know this thing, Vastrapur and all of these areas where we have IMA's campus. What about your campus?
It's towards outskirts of Ahmedabad. There's a place called Shela. It is exactly there itself.
So Sheila, like you have a what do you call specific locality where MICA is located. There's nothing else
Yes.
out there. Like there's
No,
a proper
there are
township.
no, there are multiple markets. There are new construction townships that are upcoming. But yeah, that's exactly where you'll find MICA.
And
Full
apart
luxury,
from full, you mentioned full luxury.
full lush green.
Full lush green. Oh, yeah, that's something very idiosyncratic to all the B schools, right? On one hand,
Yeah,
they're pursuing a very this thing capitalist endeavor of going out there and working in corporate. On the other hand, they have all the lush green facilities and all the greenery and all of that. So apart from that, so all of these colleges are they sort of sparsely what do you call spread across Ahmedabad? All these MBA
yeah,
schools, whatever colleges.
pretty much. So I don't find any other MBA college near to MICA because so MICA is close to 10 kilometers outside the city center. That's where Bhopal, Shela, SG Highway, Sarkej, Gandhinagar Highway exists.
Mhm.
So that's how it is. It's towards the outskirts.
And most of your needs must be met within the locality itself.
Absolutely. We have our Chota canteen, which is open throughout the day.
Mhm.
So most of our food needs are met through that. And then there is Blinkit. Then there is like, hospitals and clinics and salons and everything like that quite nearby, like just like 2, 3 kilometers away from the campus. So it's
Oh,
quite
only 2-3 kilometers. That's nice. And is there a concept of student-run initiatives as well? Like I am Lucknow has the student-run businesses on campus where they themselves operate and sell amongst each other. So is there something of that kind in MICA as well?
So it is not something that is permanent in nature, but yes, every year, as and when batches come and go, right, they have their particular initiatives. So yeah, in terms of stationery and things like that as well. So we have shops inside the campus. So no particular need for the students to start these initiatives per se, I would say.
When I talk of the rest of the initiatives of students, like what are the kind of clubs and committees? Something that you really look forward to, something that's a symbol of MICA. What are the clubs and
Right.
committees?
So there's a committee called My Canvas, right? It's one of the top marketing festivals across India, and then there is a club called Team Interface. It manages the PR and how MICA as a college is being projected out to the students. It handles the admissions department, right? Then we have Theatre Club. Then we have Placement Committee, of course,
Yeah,
and then we have
exactly.
like a Jagrati Vani, which is like a social club, handles a lot of social events around underprivileged kids, going
Mhm.
to school, teaching them, doing certain social activities throughout the campus, having some blood donation camps and things like
Wow.
that, and so. A lot of other sports club, we call it SCAM, Sports Committee at.
That's funny. That's funny. But the fact that you mentioned there's a theater club as well, that's something I've never heard of from any other B school. So is the theater club really accomplished? Like there are a lot of talented individuals in it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So MICA is renowned to have a lot of talented artistic people, right? So
It's
we have a
marketing
lot of
after all.
people.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we have a lot of people from the east, from the west, from down south who are bringing their diverse experiences across India, right? So there are multiple theater plays that we keep doing in theaters across Ahmedabad. So yeah, I mean it is one of the most active societies at MICA.
Wow, wow, wow. I mean, having a fine arts society at a B school, that's the last thing that you could ever imagine. So that, I mean, kudos to Micah for that. For, not shutting down the possibility of allowing people to explore that tangent of their lives. Moving ahead, building upon that, you also mentioned that there are a lot of individuals from East, West, and South. So do you think the diversity is multilingual? I mean, what do you call that? Multi-stage, what is that word? There's multinational, there's multilingual. What is for states? People hailing from different
Uh,
states.
multi-region. I'm not
Multi-regional.
on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
multi-regional.
multi,
So do you
right?
think there's multi-regional diversity?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have people from the Northeast, we have people from down south, we have people from Gujarat, from say North India, right, from Jammu and Kashmir. We have people from Maharashtra, Delhi. So I mean, we have mix of everything and anything that you can imagine, right? So that is what makes a culture of a B school, and specifically MICA, because we really appreciate, different cultures, different arts, different people coming from different backgrounds, and yeah,
Is there a specific weightage for people hailing from Gujarat exclusively? Like JBMS has this weightage, right, for Maharashtrians?
that's
No,
that's not there in MICA, as far as
that's
I know.
that's pretty good. As far as you know, that's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it. So, talking of yourself, your entire story until you landed at MICA, you pursued your bachelor's in business economics from Aryabhatta College. So, how
Right,
were you
right.
so sure about pursuing an MBA right after your undergrad?
I was not. I was not. So I had a very bumpy ride, right? I had science in my 11th and 12th, but something that I was completely sure of was I never wanted to pursue engineering. After that, I wrote some management level exams, and I was lucky enough to grab a seat in University of Delhi for BBE, that is
Yep.
business
Yep.
economics, right? Post that, I was sure that I'm interested in marketing. So I did a postgraduate diploma from Guru Gobind Singh College of Commerce, which is affiliated with Delhi School of Economics. That was 1 year of a diploma, right? And straight after that, I started working with Dine Out as an intern.
Mhm.
And my internship was great. So that converted into a PPO, and I started working there as a management trainee in the paid marketing division. So my journey towards marketing started off right there, and I started getting interested in a lot of aspects as to how consumers work, what is the rationale behind a purchase, and so a lot of other things, right? So my journey at Dine Out came to a pause during COVID because it was an F&B industry and things were not going as per planned, right? So I
Mhm.
had to take a pause in my career journey, and that is when I decided to pursue MBA. And so I wrote my CAT that year. And to my surprise, I did not convert a college of my dream. As to say, I can call that MICA. So I did not convert MICA that year. But my best convert that year was, I think, IMI Delhi, which is a great college per se, but it is not as good as MICA is for marketing, right? So I decided to work another year. So I worked at Magic Pin after that. I was working in the brand solutions team. I was handling the online brands and D2C vertical for 50 plus D2C brands, right? And my experience was phenomenal. And per se, I was lucky enough to not join a B school a year before because I would have definitely missed out an experience like Magic Pin. Yeah, and after that, things were completely uphill. I wrote my CAT, I got a good percentile, then I wrote my CAT. I was lucky enough to clear it this time, and I landed up with a GEPI, which is a little unconventional entry to the B schools in India. And yes, thereafter, I was lucky enough to grab a seat at MICA.
A little bit to follow up on that, how did you narrow all of your interests down exclusively to marketing? How were you so sure about marketing?
Right. So, see, I am someone who is good with understanding people, right? Now, you might question me, why not HR, right? So, I am someone who is having a good business acumen as well as I understand consumers. I always give it a thought why I am doing certain things, why I would personally go and purchase an iPhone and why not an Android, or probably why would I wear a Uniqlo t-shirt and why not a H&M t-shirt, right? So there is always a rationale behind how consumers are doing certain amount of things. And I figured this thing out, right? During my bachelor's and my PG diploma, I think I figured out that out of all the domains which are available, marketing is something that really interests me. And how you can marry the data insights as to how you can take certain marketing decisions, right? I think this is very intriguing to me, and I would certainly would have wanted to pursue this.
I mean, studying and probably, trying to find the intricacies of a particular subject that will help you land your interest. That is something that I take from that. And
Absolutely.
and you also mentioned that you got to work at Dine Out and you also managed to land a stint at Magic Pin. I wouldn't call it a stint because it was more than 6 months. It was for a year, probably, right?
Yeah, Pin was 1 year.
Yeah,
Dine Out was close to 9 months.
close to 9 months. So how are you so adept at, tackling this situation where you're supposed to change jobs with jobs? How did you manage that?
So, as I mentioned, right, while I was working at Dine Out, my job got affected due to COVID, right?
Yep.
Things were fantastic at Dine Out. In fact, I was handling Pune and Chennai as a city for restaurant marketing. But then again, you gotta do what you gotta do, right? And while I was preparing for my management exams, I was also working for this company called Avalon, which was run by Varun Maya and Abhinav Arora. So as to say, some people know about them, some people don't, and those who
Mhm.
don't are one of the unlucky lot.
Oh,
But never mind.
come on. Come on.
It's just a way to put it, right? So while I was at Avalon, I got to, explore a lot of potential that was kind of hidden inside me, and I was able to, navigate my professional journey in a way so that I could explore more aspects of marketing as to how I can project myself and things like that. So, just like a recent graduate, I gave a lot of interviews, and out of all the interviews, Magic Pin was one of the most, I would say, relevant to me at that point of time, and that is how it happened. Sometimes you're lucky, sometimes it's the hard work. So yeah, it's how it is.
You mentioned something that really caught my attention that Avalon provided you ample opportunities to realize your potential. Now, realizing your potential is a very heavy thing. How do you think Avalon, did that?
So basically, they had something called as Pro Leagues, right? So Pro Leagues is basically wherein you enroll into a community of certain, say, 50 odd people, and in that community, you are conducting certain projects.
Mhm.
So, I was working for some projects on Bewakoof.com, Bombay Shaving Company, and things like that. And, basically, they teach you how to freelance, right? How you can venture into a world of unknown and probably pick up projects that you can do, make a portfolio, send those portfolios to the top CXOs across the companies and get a hold of what your liking is, understand what you're meant of, and a lot of other things, right? It would take me a lot of while to explain what exactly and how exactly things were, but yeah, pretty much it was a great experience.
So, what did Avalon make out of that model by helping you landing freelance gigs? What did Avalon make out of that model? What was its
So
benefit?
So it was a paid cohort. It
Mhm.
was, I think they were
Oh.
charging somewhere close to 10 to 12K for that
Mhm.
entire cohort. But yeah,
Mhm.
it was pretty good. And during that time when I was not working full time anywhere and I was
Mhm.
just solely preparing for management entrance exams, it was something that I enjoyed doing, and it was something that I was, happy investing my time for.
And more importantly, the money for as well. People have great aversion towards spending any money to be a part of exclusive cohorts or landing certifications. That is something that you had the boldness to pursue.
But I would rather say it was not for the certification. In fact, I don't even remember where I kept that certificate. It was the kind of experience that I wanted to pursue, right? It was kind of the uncomfortable zone that I wanted to experience. Because for me, I would feel every other graduate in today's era needs to be a little uncomfortable and come out of their comfort zone. And that is where the biggest learning is, right? If you are following the conventional paths of ki beta IAS ban jao, beta MBA kar lo, CAT likh lo, ये सब कुछ I don't think so will help you unless and until you really figure out what you want, right? So in my journey, I figured out the hard way. I've had multiple levels of experience. I kind of figured it out while experiencing multiple things. So yeah, it helped me in an overall way.
Seeking discomfort is definitely a way to growth, to put it succinctly. And building upon that as well, you put me in another conundrum, something that a lot of students go through. There's one college which is offering a specialization of their liking, but they fail to convert it. There's another great college, but it's not offering a specialization of their liking, but then they'll have to wait for one more year to get that dream college. So, how did you make that decision? What were the kind of factors that went into it? How did you
Yeah.
make that decision?
So, according to me, every college is a great college, right? But again, there are certain aspects of an MBA that you would want certainly to be there in your
To be
curriculum
uncompromised. Yeah,
that are uncompromised, right? So again, I was in a perfect, like a proper situation dilemma. My family and friends were telling me that you have put in so much of hard work, it's better
exactly.
you start your MBA this year
Exactly.
itself.
Yeah,
And I was in a proper like situation wherein it was a very difficult call for me to take, because what if I falter my cat and zat and whatever it is the next year again, right? I'm
exactly.
not able to score enough. But something, my gut feeling told me that no, I think Sarthak, you should definitely give it a second chance, because life does not come again, right? And there are certain things that you really need to be sure of, right? So वही होता है ना, बचपन से 10th कर लो सब हो जाएगा, 12th कर लो बेटा सब हो जाएगा. लाइफ में ऐसे ही चलता रहता है, बट सर्टेन थिंग्स आई थिंक MBA was something that I really wanted to be assured of. And that surety was not coming from the previous convert because of my specialization interests. Nothing apart from that. And yeah, that is how it helped me take a decision and take that big of a risk to do another job and prepare alongside.
So, a couple of things: intuition and aspiration is something
Absolutely.
that people need to keep in mind, and that long-term goal that okay, I have a specific vision of pursuing something. Let's stick to that. So, kudos to that. I'm very glad that the plan worked out. You landed a college of your liking, and after that, apart from MICA, there was no other college that you were targeting for marketing. Was there any
I
other
was
college?
I was definitely I was. So I got a, call from Symbiosis. I got a call from Nasi Munji. There were other B school calls as well, right? But a reject from MICA in the previous year, in that
Totally.
entrance exam level only, right? I got a good score and I had a decent percentile also.
Uh,
I saw a lot of other people who got a call at a score which was lower than me, but I did not understand what went wrong. Probably the descriptive writing section, which is one of the prominent aspects of MyCat, did not go well in the last year, right? So MICA was my zid. I wanted to
MICA
clear
was
it,
my
and
Zid. Wow.
I wanted to go there. I just had that in mind.
So after you got to join the college, did that zid fade out, or you felt that no, whatever I put in, whatever the hard work that you put in, what do you call, you reap the fruits out of it? Do you reap the fruits out of
Absolutely. Absolutely, it did. So, I mean, MICA is that one college that lets you explore your within self, right? The academic pressure, the co-curricular activities, and everything that is there at MICA it's in a very balanced way, right? You do not tend to get that complete level of stress. I mean, there is definite stress out there because you're pursuing an MBA, but you're still able to focus on yourself, right? You're able to discover a better version of yourself each month and month, right? So in corporate, like we have MOM growth, you tend to witness that within you.
it? Wow, wow. And about the pedagogy as well, is the pedagogy limited exclusively to classroom lectures, or is there any other component as well?
So yeah, I mean, we have a lot of guest faculties who are coming in from the industry, right? Some of them are MICON alums, some of them are from across different colleges, pass outs, and who are working in one of the top FMCG companies, or say IT, or say gaming companies, right? Some of the people who have ventured into product management after doing an MBA from MICA, data analytics, and things like that. So it's beyond classroom learning, and we also have a lot of online sessions. We also have a lot of people coming for there's a committee called MLS, which is MICA Leadership Series, wherein
Mhm.
you bring prominent speakers from the industry, and they also come and share their experiences and things like that. So it's a complete package per se.
So how does MICA essentially justify the fact that it has a stronghold for marketing? Apart from
Okay.
all of this, how does it justify that, this is a place that you need to be at for marketing? No other place will do justice to marketing.
So I think certain things are justified when you experience them, right? Probably, I cannot specify that in words, but the legacy tells that, right?
Mhm.
We have Kunal Jeswani from MICA, who is one of the top leaders at Ogilvy, right? We have
Mhm.
multiple other people who have, had their mark in the industry when it comes to the marketing world and the advertising world per se. And in the
Yeah.
recent past, like even the data and analytics domain have seen like uprise of MICAns in the industry, right? So, I mean, the curriculum, the professors, the experience that they're getting to the students, and the community of students that is being built by the admissions team. I think all of this contributes towards making MICA the right choice for an MBA aspirant who wants marketing as a specialization. So I think my gut feeling for MICA remained true, and I had a fantastic experience in the last 2 years. And I'm very sure that the students who will be coming to MICA will have the same.
What about the curriculum though? So do you get to only study all subjects about marketing, or do you have subjects like finance, econometrics, statistics, and all of that?
Absolutely, we do. So in the first year, we have a lot of variety of subjects, right? We are studying finance, economics, organizational behavior, culture, then marketing, of course, consumer behavior, so and so, a lot of other things, right? Corporate finance, which is one of the hardest subjects across the B school, right? So, I mean, first year is quite general. Although we do have certain MICON subjects that we have in the first year as well, which are related to culture and how certain consumers take decisions in a very cultural aspect, in a very insightful way, right? But in the second year we have four specializations, which are advertising and brand management being the first one, then data science and business analytics is the second one. Then media and entertainment management is the third one. And the fourth one is digital communication management. So
Mhm.
students get an opportunity to pick one of the majors, right, out of these four specializations. And then they can either do a minor in the other specialization, or they can make a cafeteria out of
Combination.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
a combination. We call it cafeteria at MICA. So either they can make a combination of two, three subjects from one specialization and so, right? So it's quite interesting that way.
And yeah, the kind of what you call optionals you mentioned, this is not something very idiosyncratic to the rest of the institutions out there. Having
Absolutely.
advertising and brand management as one of the optionals. And about the number of subjects, so there are 7 subjects each semester.
There's no definite number as to 7 subjects. So I think we started off with 12 to 14 subjects in term one. Then subjects were a little lesser in term two, close to 10, I would say. Then term three, again, it got more, close to 12, 14. So there's no definite number. It also depends on the kind of course that you're pursuing,
Mm,
on the kind of, subjects that you're wanting to take up.
exactly, exactly. And about the evaluation part as well, is there a lot of emphasis on the end sems? Like we have this culture in DU, like 70
Absolutely.
bucks of end sems. Is that how it works at MICA as well?
Absolutely. So there are different subjects, right? Some subjects have more assignments and more presentations. Some subjects are solely focusing more on the examination part of things, right? So weightage is definitely different across different subjects, but exams and academics are very seriously taken at MICA.
And is there a possibility of people failing as well? Like, is there a very high possibility?
I mean, there's a very high possibility if you do not study, but I mean that is true for every other B school, right?
I mean, but still, I
So
mean, there's this, what do you call, there's this generalization that across all the B schools, it's very difficult to fail unless you don't write anything in the paper. A professor will not be so strict as to fail you. I mean, does that hold true with MICA as well?
So, I mean, it's like a regular institution, right? If you are not meeting the eligibility of those passing marks, you are certainly supposedly failing the paper, right? But then again, if you fail the paper, there are provisions to rewrite the paper again and improve your grade and things like that. So, yeah, all of that is manageable, quite manageable.
And apart from that, let's talk about something more very characteristic of the MBA programs that are pursued in India, of course, when we come about talking of placements. So I have this thing whenever I go across LinkedIn, try finding people of MICA, 4700 BC, that brand always keeps popping up in the bio of all the people. Like most of the people have that as a brand. So are most of the this thing employers coming out of brands and what do you call FMCG, etc., or how is the distribution spread like?
So, in terms of the distribution, right, there are multiple sectors that have started hiring from MICA. FMCG has been one of the prominent sectors. Then, startups, specifically, I think D2C startups, right? They have hired a lot from MICA. For 4500 BC is one of those startups, right? 40, and apart from that, I think IT and ITES companies have also hired a lot from MICA. So, like per to say, I did my summer internship at Procter and Gamble. So it was one of the FMCG sector companies. But then again, there are a lot of media companies coming in, advertising agencies which are coming in. These companies do not go to regular B schools, right? And that is one of the advantages that you kind of get at MICA.
So, given the advent of data analytics, do you see market analyst roles dominating the placements over the past few years at MICA?
Sorry, I did not get your
Given the
question.
advent of data analytics in today's corporate, do you see marketing analyst, research analyst roles dominating the placements of the past few years?
Yeah, absolutely. And there are companies that are coming to MICA which are having a lot of data-oriented role. Even data scientist roles are given to MICANs, right? And the interesting fact as to how MICANs understand the consumers as well as the data to marry the insights with those marketing decisions, right? And these are the kind of expertise that our students are offering to the industry. And I think a lot of companies have been trying to identify this, and hence the rules and the marketing analytics and such domains have been explored further.
So, if we try establishing a distribution of all the students across all the domains, so how would it go like? Like, what is the portion of the entire pool of students occupied in marketing analyst roles? How many students land branding and advertising roles? What is the distribution like?
Uh, it would be a little difficult for me to recall the exact distribution,
But still
but
a rough
I
estimate, yeah. Yeah.
most of the roles that are there at MICA are, somewhere around brand management, then digital marketing, marketing strategy roles, then sales and marketing is also followed up next. Marketing analytics is something that is growing, right? It's taking baby steps. So I would
It's
say
in its nascent stages, yeah.
15 to 20% of the batch gets that kind of role, right? So, which is again like something very appreciable that we have in the batch.
And the rest of the batch gets placed in this thing, branding and management, the brand management aspects of the.
Yeah. So there are advertising agencies coming in. There are media companies coming in. So there are multiple different kind of roles. I mean, we would probably take another hour to talk about all the roles that are coming to MICA because the variety of companies are very extreme, right? We have Disney coming in, we have Sony coming in, then we have the likes of Leo Burnett, the likes of FCB in the advertising agency world. Then we have a lot of IT companies coming in, Samsung. Then FMCG is coming in. So the roles vary. The roles are quite varied across different profiles.
So if marketing is somebody's cup of tea, MICA is the place to be. To put it in a
Uh,
nutshell.
I
Wow, wow.
definitely.
And about the exposure part as well, is there something very individualistic to whatever MICA does when it comes to the exposure of the students? Is there something idiosyncratic?
I think at MICA, lectures do not feel like lectures, right? They're more like an interaction, and they're per se more like a communication, like a two-way communication between the faculty body and the students, right? And things are not just dealt in a theoretical aspect, but also in a lot of practical ways. How things are, transformed into a presentation, and there's a proper feedback to it. How the assignments are not just talking about theoretical aspects, but as to how things are happening in the real world, right? So yeah, a lot of aspects around that.
And as far as the case competitions are concerned, you only get to enroll at Unstop and the rest of the websites, or is there something else in place as well?
So the placement committee gets in touch with a lot of companies, right? And these companies sometimes directly offer case competitions
Mhm.
apart from Unstop. But then again, Unstop being one of the marketplaces for case competitions, MICA is eligible for 9 out of 10 case competitions. So yeah, I mean, if you land up at MICA, you certainly get to participate in L'Oreal, then Hindustan Unilever, Lime, then a lot of other prominent Flipkart Wired being one of them, a lot of other case competitions. And if you look at the past results, then MICAs have definitely outshined, and they have secured one of the top three positions across these prominent case competitions
So
as
MICA
well.
does get to be a part of the exclusive cohort, the top 20 colleges. MICA Ahmedabad is definitely having a place to its name. So apart from that, when we talk of the rest of the aspects of the program, the MBA program in general, the exposure is taken care of by you taking part in case competitions. Apart from that, is there anything else they do to get you well versed with the industry? Is there anything else apart from guest lectures, apart from the leadership series, anything else that you can recall about marketing or something?
I think so. There's this committee called as MICA Minds, right?
Mhm.
And what this committee essentially do that they get projects from alumni, they get projects from companies around Ahmedabad and say Delhi NCR, Bangalore, Mumbai. And throughout the tenure of your academic session, you get to pursue these live projects, right? So these live projects also essentially help you in getting those CV pointers for the upcoming placement seasons, right? And I think working alongside studying is something that people appreciate, right?
Mhm.
And that gives you a holistic learning in terms of getting those theoretical concepts applied to those practical scenarios, right? So that is something that is definitely being carried out at MICA.
So you're getting to work while studying. That is a definite USP when it comes to pursuing a course from MICA. Apart from that, what about the campus? Like, what is the vibe of the campus? Laid back, relaxed. You get to share a very big campus, or is it a little constricted?
So campus is quite very nice, and I mentioned about the Chota canteen, right? So we have a proper like vibe going out in Chota canteen. Most of the people are just sitting there chatting, spending their time, and then we have like a proper hostel block wherein we have co-ed hostels as well. We have a badminton court right across the mess, and yeah, I mean, there's a multi-purpose hall where the table tennis is situated. Then we have Mani Iyer Auditorium, wherein instead of proper seats, we have cushions to sit on. So the vibe is just Mican per se, right? It's quite different, and it's something that every Mican which has passed out of MICA and is currently studying really cherishes. So yeah.
Wow. And apart from the vibe, what is the typical schedule of a person studying at MICA like? When do the lectures start? When does a typical day end?
So the lectures begin somewhere around 9:30, and after that, the lectures end somewhere around 4:30 in the first year. But in the second year, there is no bound, right? The lectures can start in the day, say 8 o'clock, and they can go on till like night in the 9:30, 10, depending on the subjects that you choose, right? Because there are a lot of subjects and we need to
Mm.
fit those subjects throughout the day. So certain faculties who are okay teaching towards the night, they take up those subjects, and the students are also okay doing that. Even the late risers would definitely prefer a class in the night and not in the morning.
Exactly,
So
but
that's
still, from morning 8 a.m. to night 9 p.m. That's very,
but
what do you
that's
call?
not essential,
That's
right?
not every day,
Uh,
right?
Yeah, that's not every day, and even if it is, you do not have classes from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. continuously, right?
Oh,
I'm just telling you a overall schedule. It might be that you have one class at 8 o'clock, then the next class is at 1 p.m., then the third class is at probably 6 p.m., and the last class is at 9:30 p.m. That's how it is. So it's spread across, and it depends on the subjects that you choose in your second year.
exactly,
That's how
exactly.
it.
And it's spread across the entire week. There's no specific holiday for you, like on Saturday and Sunday.
Um, in the first year, Sundays are a holiday. It's like we don't have any classes, but in the second year, we don't have that privilege and the luxury of a weekend. So the classes are across the week. And again, the weekdays are little light, depending on the subjects that you choose. But yes, classes are every day.
The second year really turns out to be rigorous. That's what I'm inferring out of all of that.
I would say it's not rigorous. It depends on the variety of subjects you're choosing, right? For
Hmm.
example, if you're choosing a subject that involves a guest faculty, the guest faculty is definitely working on a weekday, right? They
So he'll
cannot
come
come
on
to
a
the
weekend.
campus.
Yeah.
So he'll come on a weekend, he'll take that class, and you would definitely be interested in sitting in that lecture as well.
Is there a minimum attendance requirement? Like you have to have 75 to 80% of attendance, or is that
Yes.
compromisable?
So, although they appreciate 100% attendance, but there's a minimum 80% attendance that is still manageable.
Oh, but still, even expecting 80%, but still, yeah, that's manageable. That's manageable. And
Right.
there must be a specific marking component involved as well for your attendance criteria. Like if you have 80%
Uh,
attendance and above,
so basically, there is no marking component for attendance, but if you go below 80% attendance,
you'll
then
not be
you get a
eligible.
then no, you will be eligible, but then you get a grade cut. So for
Oh,
example, if you get a B plus, then that grade will go down to B. You get a
oh,
grade cut, and then the attendance structure is a little complicated. Like how it is for every other B school, right?
mhm.
So if there are ranges that from 70 to 80. If you are below 80%, then you get one grade cut. If below 70, then you get two. It's not on my tips right now, but yeah, it's something similar to that.
Below what threshold you become ineligible for appearing for the examinations? Beyond what threshold? Like,
I think that's 50%. Below 50%, if you go there, then you need to like do either have a medical reason around it, or you're not able to give the paper.
makes
That's
sense,
right.
makes sense. And talking of a little more, what do you call, intricate aspect of the MBA programs, how are your experiences with the placement cell? Of course, if you've signed the non-disclosure agreement, you'll not be telling anything, but still, how was your experience with the placement cell?
I think placement cells are quite considerate, right, in terms of getting those different variety of companies to the campus, making sure that they have constant communication with the batch in terms of identifying what are the batch's expectations, and trying to meet those expectations is something that we've been happy with at MICA. So yes, definitely, placements as a word is quite scary, but throughout the 2 years, I think I've had decent experiences with placements, and per to say, I did not have any scary nights, and I had just like good experiences. Again, like you are definitely nervous when it comes to placements, and it shows, right? It shows in your batch meets, it shows in your different placement processes, interviews, and things like that. But I think in an overall sense, it's quite manageable. That's it. That's completely fine.
Is there a placement charter in place as well, where if you're possibly indisciplined or you do something that's not agreeable on, you get to not sit for a subsequent company? Is there a placement charter in place?
I think that way, the batch is quite understanding, right? There are definite, like, here and there you flout certain rules, like not wearing the right uniform, or say, not being properly groomed or things like that. But when it comes to placements, I think even the students understand that if they're not following certain guidelines, it's their loss, right? It's not the placement committee's loss. So there are no stringent actions per se, but again, if you cross a certain boundary, which I'm not the right person to decide because I'm definitely not from the placement committee, but yeah, I mean, if there are certain boundaries that are crossed, then there are certain stringent measures that are taken against that particular student.
And the boundaries are pretty subjected to the reps of the placement cell.
Absolutely, absolutely. There are no particular instances that I can tell you right
Recall,
now.
yeah. And summarizing the entire experience of getting to be a part of MICA, is there anything else you'd want to add about MICA? Something that is very special to MICA? Anything?
So we have different concerts, right? We have this thing called there's a committee called MICA Studio 7, right? So we have a music and a live music concert that even the students can go and perform, right? There's a proper vibe that exists. Then we have a culture committee at MICA which organizes Urja, which is a proper Garba festival that happens in October, right? And the whole playground is like decorated with lights. The students are wearing that ethnic clothing and things like that. So I mean, the vibe at MICA, it's good. It's something that the students aspire to be in. And apart from the academics, I think, as I rightly mentioned in the previous question as well, right? It's quite balanced. You tend to figure out your inner self. You get out of a comfort zone. People who are stepping out of their homes for the first time. I think this is quite welcoming. The vibe and the air at MICA is quite warm.
Wow. Wow. And When you were trying to get into MICA, were the admin team members welcoming as well when they were going through your application, your CV? How was that experience like?
Are you talking about the GEPI experience?
Exactly, exactly.
Right. So that experience is one of the most cherishable experiences that I've had in my life. So yeah, definitely. As I mentioned in the starting of the video, that I had variety of experiences. I worked at Dynout, Magic Pin. I was also a part of ISEC for some time. Then I was doing certain internships here and there. So my interview experience was like a roller coaster, I would say. So it started off on a high note. Then I was asked on a certain level of things that why MICA only? You tried last year and you could not make it. So why try again? Why not move on to a different college? So I think my instinct of answering in terms of my intention to be at MICA and my confidence showed. So that experience was not overwhelming, I would say. It was
Satisfactory.
nice. It was good. It was satisfactory. So it was definitely more than satisfactory, and you definitely know how to deliver. You should know how to deliver, right? Because there are thousands of emotions and thoughts running through your mind, even right now as you're asking me questions, right? But choosing the right words and talking about how you need to deliver it right to the interview panel makes a lot of sense. So that's how it was, and I'm glad things worked out for me in that year.
And about the group exercise part, what are you supposed to exactly do in that?
Right. So the group exercise has quite varied topics, right? So I remember I had a topic wherein my group was supposed to enact a skit on Russian-Ukraine crisis. So during that time, it was one of the most prominent things that were going on, right? Another group was supposed to make a WhatsApp message around how they can educate elderlies for technology advancements and things like that. Someone had to make a board game around educating deaf and dumb people. These are the kind of topics that you get at MICA. And these topics not just test your knowledge, but also test your left and right brain both. And
Exactly.
probably,
Exactly. That's
uh,
something coming from a marketing enthusiast, left and right brain.
absolutely. So, all of these aspects make you a Mican. And if it shows in the interview, you definitely stand a high chance of getting through that process and being here at MICA.
But when you mentioned that you're supposed to enact a skit when you're planning on getting into B school, people must have been shocked that what am I doing over here? I was expecting a GD, I was expecting an interview. They're asking me to act. I mean, that's very unique to whatever the
Absolutely.
process is.
So,
And
you need to know your strengths, right? Some people are good with enacting, some people are good with singing, some people are good with organizing people, some people are good with management. So, that group objective was to enact a skit. That did not mean that everyone had to participate, right? Some
somebody
people
could have
could just.
written, somebody could have, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Exactly,
Wow,
absolutely.
still, all of these things which you mentioned, the examples, very innovative. Something that's not very, characteristic of the rest of the B schools. Wow, wow, wow. And apart
Right.
from that, now coming towards the end of the episode, if there are a couple of questions that I've left towards the end, is the first one has to do a lot with marketing, and the second one, of course, has to do a lot with your journey. So when it comes to marketing, I have this great problem, this debilitating problem. I mean, I've seen a few case studies. I've seen a few, what do you call, I've attended a few lectures. And if there's something that really bothers me, is the fact that we are giving into the consumerist culture. Don't get overwhelmed by what I'm trying to say. Don't get overwhelmed by what I'm trying to imply. But
Not
in
yet.
some way, you're getting me, right? You're getting from where I'm coming. So we get sort of consumed by this consumerist culture, and we give into the idea of what do you call putting people in a delusion that they need something. You're getting me? Like I read one of these things where they apparently they apparently mess with whatever you perceive out of things. Like they mess up with the ratios of something. They mess up with the color ratios or something they do to create a release of dopamine in your head. I'm not finding the exact scientific definitions, but all of
Right.
this is going on in the background. So, are you never taken aback by all of that? That I'm sort of misleading people into making them buy stuff. I'm being very brutal over here. Are you ever taken aback by that?
So I think I mean, you can take it in a positive way or a negative way, right? Everything has its pros and cons, right? And I feel that marketing is the need of the hour. I mean, for businesses which are wanting to thrive, right? There's a lot of opportunity in the industry. I mean, talk about yourself, right? I'm sitting across to you. You reached out to me on, say, LinkedIn, right? I probably had a decent personal brand for you to consider me for your podcast, right? So I was trying to make a perception about myself, and so exactly what the brands are doing, right? So I think that people who need certain stuff definitely are the ones who are the first and foremost customers, but definitely there are certain people who need nudges, who need constant remarketing to get them onboarded, right? So for example, let's talk about Paytm, right? When Paytm got into India, I don't think so that a lot of people were appreciative of that fact कि यार UPI use करना पड़ेगा. What is this Paytm wallet? What is it? Cashback? यार ये क्या होता है? But now look at the scenario, right? Every other person is using UPI, right? And that is exactly how things are. I mean, I definitely applaud the question that you had, that consumerist culture and things like that. But I mean, it's not true for 90% of the things that the industry is having, right? Definitely, there are 10% of the products and services that are definitely forced upon the consumers. But yeah, I mean, there are good and bad things all around us. So why not in this domain as well?
So you wouldn't want to sort of contemplate on all of those aspects, and sort of have this self-fulfilling prophecy that yes, I'm trading on a path that makes sense to me. Let's not give it to the bigger collectivist thought.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm allowed to have my own opinion, right?
Exactly.
And like even if things are not going in the right direction for certain aspects of people, they're absolutely allowed to not participate in those brands, in those consumerist cultural activities.
The
So yeah, take your own decisions and whatever sails your boat, please do that.
the problem is people don't have that awareness, right? Whenever they're being misled or misguided into buying something, they don't have
Right.
that. But yeah,
Right.
this will be this thing topic for another episode. I just wanted to have your glimpse on it, like a very short opinion on it. And apart from that, about the preparation aspect and the idea that you got to move to through two jobs, one is Magic Pin and the other one was Dine Out. So is there
Right.
anything that you'd like to advise people when they get down with preparing for exams while working? Is there anything
Mhm.
that you might come up with?
Okay. So I just have two things to say. Please have a proper timetable for each day, and also alongside take weekends, take weekends off, right? Please have one day per week wherein you can just enjoy. Please do not get burned out, right? And that is something that I made sure. Probably I was going out, meeting my friends even 3-4 days before my cat exam, right? And that is how I manage studies, right? I do not take it to the top level. I make sure that I'm doing the minimum and making sure that I'm practicing enough mocks and things like that. Secondly, please be very diligent. I mean, if you really are spending that one whole year to prepare from the month of, say, January or April, I mean, don't write exams for the sake of it. If you're writing those exams, you should be proud of yourself when you're exiting that hall, right? I mean, once you're submitting that button in that paper, you should be saying to yourself, ki, you did your best, and let's leave everything to the
Rest.
rest. I mean, so that's how it is. Please be honest to yourself, right? मम्मी पापा को दोस्तों को तो सब बोलते हैं कि यार मैं पढ़ाई कर रहा हूँ बट नीचे फोन चल रहा होता है. But let's be honest to yourself, and having that discipline while pursuing a job really matters. So that's what I figured out.
That's pretty well put. That's pretty well put. And is there any other advice to all the aspirants out there who not only seek to make it to MICA but who are about to trade on their MBA journey? Any specific advice that will help them, reap the actual benefits?
Advice to give the interviews or as such throughout the MBA
No, the
journey?
entire experience, the entire experience.
Okay, so when I talk about the interview experience, I think just one thing, please be your own selves, right? I mean, even if you have a lot of knowledge, but you're not delivering that knowledge in the right way, that would not outshine yourself, right? You need to say the right words, you need to say the right things at the right time, and do not portray yourself to be someone that you're not, right? Be your own self. When I talk about the MBA journey, right? It's a lot of like combination of overwhelming experiences coming your way, right? So be patient, take one day at a time, and things will definitely make sense throughout your MBA journey. Probably the first quarter of your MBA journey will be like you'll be staying up late at night doing your assignments, probably preparing for your summer placements and things like that. But if you give yourself time, things will definitely make sense. So yeah, I'm applauding the fact that you are moving towards an MBA journey. Whatever it is, however it is, make sure it's a great one.
Wow, wow. That perfectly encapsulates the entire gist of the episode. I mean, wonderful advice that people need to keep that in mind that whatever they get through, they shouldn't be overwhelmed by whatever their experiences are and have a fine track of reality. Wow. And with that, we come towards the end of the episode. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this and being a part of this and sharing all of your experiences of being a Mican. It was wonderful to get to hear to you.
Absolutely, likewise, and I'm glad to be able to contribute to a lot of thought-provoking insights and things like that. And kudos to you for doing this for all the aspirants and people who are wanting to hear how experiences across different B schools are like. So yeah,
Exactly. That was a lot of marketing covered. And with that, we'll end the episode. Thank you so much.